This episode of Walt Disney World Today is sponsored by MEI and Mousefan Travel, who are authorized Disney vacation planners specializing in cruises and packages to Disney and other vacation destinations around the world. They provide their signature services with no agency fees, so get a no-obligation quote by going to www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, July 18th, 2007, and this is episode 284 of Matt Hochberg's Comedy Hour Show. I'm Matt Hochberg from MGMstudios.org. On the show today is Len Testa, co-author of the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
The Matt Hochberg Comedy Hour Show. Why don't you just throw the word review in there, too?
I didn't make up the name.
I know. How's it going?
Outstanding.
Excellent.
And we have Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Mike, it's still on the air.
We got a 60 to 90 day reprieve, so keep your fingers crossed, folks. And
I can't believe I lost that bet to Len. Oh,
thanks. Can't believe that all that money to my senator went for nothing. Congratulations.
Matt's been dying to say, and Mike Newell of nothing.
That's right. This line is waiting to be said.
But thank you to everyone who's called in. I just want to take a real quick thank you to everyone who's called in and wrote into your senators. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Keep it going. Check Mouse World Radio for more mouseworldradio.com for more information on supporting Newell and keeping him on the air. Also on the show is Mike Scopa of mouseplanet.com and All Ears Net. Welcome, Mike.
We've been hit. R2, get the stabilizer fixed and hurry. We're losing altitude fast.
RX-24 droid on Star Tours.
What was he asleep?
Holy cow, I thought he was trying to beatbox for a minute there.
Oh, please don't do that. My ears are hurting.
Well said.
Clean off the microphone.
And on the show today also is Steve Seifert of TikiMan2001.net. He was also the founder of Tiki Fest 2007. Welcome, Steve.
Hey, guys. And I have a special little thing for Len in tribute of Van Halen finally getting back together, hopefully, if Ed can stay sober, which I think he can. This is what I've got for you, Len.
That's pretty good.
I can't believe you played that on your computer, hooked up your guitar to the computer. Nice.
You should see me trying to press all the buttons.
Was that from Guitar Hero?
That was me.
Was it really?
He's got his Gibson plugged in with his USB.
I do. It's right here.
Do you really? Do it again.
It's Steve Seifert unplugged.
Encore. More.
Steve, play Freebird.
No.
Yeah, let me get right on that.
That wasn't bad. That was pretty good.
No, do it again. I'm serious. Do it again.
No. What's the one Matt likes? Atomic Punk?
Oh, no. No, it's not Atomic Punk. It's Eruption.
That was Eruption.
It was Eruption, dumbass.
No. I like the other Eruption.
The other one, but the other guy. Can you do Cathedral?
You know what? I actually used to be able to do that. I haven't picked up this guitar in like 4 years. I dusted it off. In fact, check your email.
Awesome.
Anyway, it's Wednesday. We're answering listener questions, and today's listener question comes.
That's gonna make show 300. Oh, God. Yeah, Newell, you're gonna have to bleep me out on that one so we get the ready.
I got the beat ready.
I didn't know you play guitar.
Yeah.
Our first question for today is from Tony from DeKalb, Illinois. He writes, Hi, Matt, Mike, and Len. How come you guys don't have a Walt Disney World Today classic thong offered on your Cafe Press apparel page? Lou does it on his. He's giving a new meaning to the words, oh, Lou.
Does he really? He has a
Thong?
Yeah, he does. I checked it out. Yeah. I don't know. Newell's in charge of the merchandise. Newell?
Yeah. I think we'll skip that one.
Next email is from Mark Olson of Charlotte, North Carolina. He writes, Hi, guys. Hate the show. You guys are all the bane of my existence. Quick question for you, though. It's been a couple of years since our family has visited Cinderella's Royal Table, and it looks like a couple of things have changed. Most notably, the pay for the entire meal in advance feature. How does one use the Disney Dining Experience card in this situation?
Disney Dining card. That's a great question. Yeah, since you pay in advance, what do you get for a bill? That's a great question.
I don't know.
You know what? Matt, we'll take this as a to-do item, and I'll call Disney Dining tomorrow and find out.
Great, post it in the show notes line.
That's really the answer. Call Disney Dining, see what they say.
On a side note from Mark, is there any way we can get Len to add a chip to his book that can provide real-time information, kind of like Pal and Mickey? Something like, what the hell are you doing in a place like this and on this line and this time of day?
What are you doing at Fantasyland at 11 o'clock?
The touring plans are in the book for a reason, you know. Fine, you can waste your time in line here, but you don't go crying to me if you can't get on Buzz Lightyear before the park closes. I really feel a Pal Len could contribute to a magical way.
That's funny. We are actually working on a mobile device version of the touring plans. So we tested something out. We learned a few things about it, and look for something later on this year.
That's
Great.
classic.
Have you guys ever considered doing like a touring plans that you can like upload on a Palm or something?
Yeah, we
Or
did
you
actually
already do that.
We wrote software in December and January, and we tested it in the park.
Now, see, if you do that and then have a GPS that gives
Exactly.
you a map of where you're at and tells you
Don't
where to
say
go with
GPS.
arrows, turn right here.
That's exactly right.
And those
what
GPSs work.
Traffic
well.
ahead.
It wasn't so much the GPS. I mean, the GPS works. The two issues are you'll burn your battery out.
Yeah. Right.
You're constantly pinging the GPS, and then the other thing is that the speed of a cell phone network really is not that good at all.
Yeah.
So
right.
so those are the two big issues to work on. But yeah, we've definitely tried stuff in the past.
Next email's from Greg and Lynn Durham of Benton Harbor, Michigan, who writes, "Hi guys, we're longtime listeners and Disney heads, and Mike Scopa, we're runners too. We've done the Goofy and heard about the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror 13K on your All Ears Net blog. Thanks to you, we'll be there. We haven't yet used the Disney dining plan and have a question. Are you allowed to split meals you use plan credits to buy?"
I think at counter service definitely because
No, you can use it. You can do that at on table service. I mean, if one person buys, with their plan credit a meal, and then the other person doesn't
It's going
order
to stop
something.
you from splitting it.
Yeah, they've done.
Well, don't some places charge for a split meal though?
right for a plate, right? So there might be a plate charge or sharing charge at some restaurants. That's one they would say. So it's probably better to call ahead and ask Disney Dining if you have a specific restaurant. I don't think you're going to see it so much at the Disney restaurants, but I think at the non-Disney places, especially downtown Disney, like Wolfgang and Puck's, for example, you might get hit with a per plate or a sharing charge.
Okay. Next email is from Martin, who writes, "Hey guys, I just booked airfare to come to Mouse Fest for a solo trip. I have a couple of questions. I really like the dining plan and would love to get it, but I have a feeling that with all the events going on over the weekend, that it would be tough to make ADRs. Is my assumption right?"
Yeah, I mean ADRs are pretty much gone now.
No, I mean like if he has ADRs, regardless for Mouse Fest, is going to be hard pressed to make those ADRs because of all the events.
No. Go to whatever you want. I mean, usually, there aren't usually events during dinner time anyway because people know that you have to eat, and if there's anything, it'd be a lunch or a social, an ice cream social in the afternoon. Definitely do the dinner if you can get it, or lunch or breakfast.
What do you think, Scopo?
I agree with Lynn.
Okay. Martin's other question is, being from Southern California, I normally count the fact of not having to drive as much on my vacation as anything else. I'll be renting a car for this trip, though. My question is, let's say I have to drive to downtown Disney and have a few too many at Raglan Road. Will my car be okay if I take the Disney transportation back to Scopa Towers and then go back to pick it back up in the morning?
Sure.
It's a rental.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely wouldn't be the only one that does that.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to leave it at downtown Disney. What's the problem? I'm sure that they have more than one person who has to leave their
Draws a lot.
car overnight. Yeah.
There's a lot of security over there now these days anyway. I think you'd be fine.
Next email is from Paul Lally of Albany, New York, who writes, "I actually did the whirlwind tour of all 4 parks on November 6th of last year. It was my last day in Walt Disney World, and the rest of my group had left the day before. I was originally planning on hitting 2 attractions at each park, but that didn't work out. Instead, I did indeed get to the Animal Kingdom for extra Magic Hour mornings and was aggravated to hear that Expedition Everest would have a delayed opening. I got in line for it at Rope Drop anyway, and was just hoping to ride it that it would open soon. It was 8:45 a.m. before I got on, and was the first one to ride. At that point, I decided to abandon the second ride at Animal Kingdom and just move on to the next park. I was using Disney transportation the whole trip, and at that early in the morning, intra-park transportation is few and far between.
Right.
After waiting 30 minutes for an Epcot bus, I just got on the next bus to the TTC and took the monorail to Epcot from there. At Epcot, I was able to do both Soarin' and Test Track, then caught a bus to MGM. I should have taken the boat. It would have been a lot faster. At MGM, I did one quick trip to Tower of Terror and then caught a bus back to the TTC and monorail back to the Magic Kingdom. I got on Splash Mountain, had a quick bite at Casey's Corner, and then caught a bus stop to Pop Century and caught my Magical Express bus at 3 p.m. to head back to the airport.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow.
But you know that Paul brings up a good point. Early in the morning, there aren't as many buses going between the parks as there are going to and from an individual park. And that's because Disney knows that most people are trying to get to their first destination. There aren't very many people trying to get to a second destination.
Good point, Len.
Wait, am I missing something? But I didn't remember the buses went from park to park.
Yeah, they've been
Yeah, they
doing
do
it
now, Steve. Yep.
more than
Oh, that's great because it was horrible trying to get from one resort to, or one park to the other before.
Yeah, so they've been doing that for a while.
I think I disagree with him on the boat being faster than the bus, though, especially if you're taking from Epcot all the way to MGM.
In the morning, though, when Disney's not sending many buses back and forth, the boat is the primary means of getting people from some of the Epcot resorts to and from, like the studios, for example.
Sure.
So that actually might be faster depending on where you at.
Or walking.
Or walking, actually.
Yeah, that'd probably be the fastest.
I agree. Yeah.
I was at the Beach Club in June with Hannah, and it was like 93 degrees. We were waiting there on the boat
yacht club.
Yacht club.
Yeah,
So
right.
and the one bus comes and goes, and it's not going to the studios. And there's so you get the smell of diesel exhaust in the air. It's hot. Kids are screaming and everything. I'm like, we could have walked and been. We wouldn't have beat the bus, but it would have been, or the boat, but it would have been, reasonably close. So.
When I was there in May, I was surprised that we stayed at the boardwalk, and you know how they share buses with Swan, Dolphin, Yacht, and Beach Club.
Yeah.
But that changes at certain times, doesn't it? Because sometimes we would stop at the other resorts, other times we wouldn't. It seemed to be somewhat random.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? It goes by the
Yeah.
load? Okay.
Yeah. Traffic.
Next email is from Luke Manning of the Everything Disney podcast, who writes, "Hi, Matt. I just started listening to your show, and I absolutely love it and its frequency. My family and I are going to Walt Disney World soon and don't have a lot of money. I'm trying to convince my dad to go to a table service. What's the cheapest option for someone that loves meat options?"
Ohana. I think Ohana. Or Beer Garden.
Okay. Some good options right there. Yachtsman Steakhouse. I mean, if you've got the word meat in the name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but not
inexpensive.
cheap.
Inexpensive. Good point, Len.
What else would be in terms of inexpensive? I mean, Beer Garden and Ohana go both of them around $26 per person.
How meaty Scopa is Trails End?
How meaty, Scopa?
How meaty? How meaty? It depends. Probably, I would say dinner. I'd go with dinner would be more meaty than lunch.
What are they going to have,
think-
though? What kind of meats are they going to have at dinner? I mean,
They
don't
have prime rib. They have prime rib.
Do they really?
Yeah, they have prime rib. They have roast beef. They have they have chicken. They have ham. Oh yeah, not every night, but mostly. I remember seeing it last year a couple times. But I think that dinner is probably the better option than lunch for Trails End. It's pretty close though. I think you got a point there, Len, with the beer garden. I'd also almost say Hollywood and Vine for dinner too. So pick one.
Some good options right there.
Hollywood Vine. Crusted salmon.
Okay, so
I don't know. Kona has a pretty good steak too.
So
Teriyaki. Yeah, teriyaki
There you go.
tips, Steve.
Yep.
My favorite place for teriyaki steak is right there.
Where?
Kona.
Okay, but I can't believe I'm saying these words, but I think Skip is right because
Oh no, the world is coming to an end.
the all you can eat buffet at Trails End is $18 for an adult, and
There you go.
that's sort of the least
So Ohana.
and it's got ribs, chicken, shrimp, plus the carved roasted meats that you mentioned, plus pizza, plus dessert. Well, fruit
That's
cobbler,
dinner?
which isn't. So the desserts are extra. You do get a bread pudding and a fruit cobbler, but
Scopa, you the old man.
you're the man. I'm not old. Brother's old.
That's right, Sonny. Don't you forget it.
It's a great deal. $18 for that, dude. I'm so going there next week.
What are you? Never been down there or something? Jeez.
I've been there for breakfast and lunch. I've never done dinner.
Oh man. Yeah.
Next email is from Jeremy Lasky of Painesville, Ohio, who writes, "Len, Mike, Dr. Scopa, and Matt. I was looking at the menu at All Ears and I was wondering, why does Chip and Dale's Cookie Cabin at Animal Kingdom have no cookies on the menu? I just looked it up. It's true. There's a little kiosk at Camp Minnie Mickey and Animal Kingdom called Chip and Dale's Cookie Cabin, and what they have to eat is hot dogs, assorted chips, Coke, Sprite, Minute Maid lemonade. That's it.
Maybe it's cookie like Cook.
Oh, it could be like that. Yeah, kind of like on the cruise line. Right, Newell?
Yeah,
Mr. Cruise Line?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Now, are we calling it the right thing? Are you sure it's the Cookie Cabin?
Yeah, I just looked it up on Deb's site.
That's so a Lou Mongello question. That's awesome. Is there
Yeah,
there is.
According to the menu that Deb has on her site, there's no cookies.
Oh,
on
the
there.
Cookie Cabin.
Cookie Cabin. Yeah.
How's it spelled?
There's another one. There's an ice cream cabin, too, isn't there?
Yeah, and it has ice cream, though. It's like not
And it doesn't have cookies?
Yeah,
Oh, no. I'm looking at it now. No, it doesn't have cookies. Thank God.
That's awesome. That's funny.
Next email is from Justin Hooper, who writes, "Hey guys, I was wondering if there's a reason why I can't buy an annual pass in my 3-year-old daughter's name to get an annual pass rates on hotels."
Because the name has to match the name on the credit card.
Yes, they used to allow that because I had a friend whose
Right.
daughter had an AP, and she actually booked an AP rate using her daughter's annual pass, which was a child's annual pass, and she actually was able to get an AP discount. That was about a year and a half ago.
So until your daughter can get her own credit card. Although interesting, what if you get her a debit card?
Ooh, that's a good
Don't you have
idea.
to be like 16 or something like that?
You get a debit
No,
card?
you can buy them
Have
prepaid.
to have a bank account.
I've seen them prepaid at CVS. You can go to CVS and buy a prepaid Visa
I know there are
card.
special rules on on hotels about using prepaid or debit cards to pay for things, because I think
They need to be able to charge up to a certain limit.
right, they'll charge you. Well, they'll actually charge you a certain amount, like let's say $500, just to cover the necessities, and then they'll credit you back at the end of your stay, whatever the unused portion is. So let's say you spend $50 on room service or whatever, they'll credit you back $450, and there's always a disclaimer on the hotel, on the check-in desk saying it could take up to 2 weeks or
to get it back.
to get you that credit back if you're using a debit card.
Len, I'm being told you're wrong. Evidently, what it is they check to see if you can charge $500 on the card, and then that allows you. But they don't charge it.
Oh, okay.
They just establish a credit limit basically to make sure you can actually cover the cost.
Here's what happens, though. Here's what happens, though, Matt, on the back end. So I said it wrong.
Okay.
When the hotel calls the credit card company and says, "Can this person charge $500?" Some debit card companies will actually take that $500 from your balance, from your available to spend balance,
gotcha.
on the assumption that they've asked. You must be asking the same question.
Len, I'm being told you're correct.
Yes, that's right. That part's
Next email is from Steve from St. Cloud, Florida, who's 21 miles from Walt Disney World. Who writes, "When a Disney fan lives in Central Florida, the common question is the magic lost? I've heard folks ask about this in various Disney fan podcasts and websites. Here are my thoughts on that. It can be just as magical or even more magical if you have two things, money and time. If you don't have both of these things at the same time, there is no magic no matter where you live. I think the key to keeping the magic is to immerse yourself in the magic by staying on property no matter where you live the other 50 weeks of the year." It's a good point. If you stay on property and kind of keep it that way, it'll just be the same thing. It doesn't matter where you live.
Well, there's people that live. Some of my friends live near Disneyland, and it's the same type of thing. Even though they're pretty close, it's still kind of the same experience. They just can get there a lot faster. And it all depends on how often you go and what your experience is like when you're there.
Next email is from Chuck from Michigan, who writes, "We're going to the world for 10 days soon, staying at Port Orleans Resort, Riverside. We're renting a car for the first time and have a few related questions. Are there any parks that you would use for Disney transportation instead of renting a car? For example, Magic Kingdom?"
That's it.
Yeah.
Just Magic Kingdom.
Just to answer the question. Yep.
All
Next.
right. Are there routes to the parks and other resorts marked well enough so we won't have to waste time driving in circles?
Yes.
Yeah, should be. Just make sure you follow the directions.
And any tips for parking when arriving in the afternoon?
Oh, in the afternoon, yeah. Go as far up front as you can.
Yeah.
So like there'll be people that are kind of pushing you towards the back of the parking lot. Look for a spot up front, man. Just keep going.
Yeah, you're right, Len. Even by a certain time, the cast members aren't there anymore. They just, it's free for all parking, and most of the time people just stay at, they just park, at the end of the lot. But if you drive all the way to the front, people leave the park,
Yeah,
and there's
especially
always
the early
spots.
ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I usually never push it, but I can always get in the first 5 rows of Epcot when I'm there in the late afternoon. Always.
Yep.
Next email's from Jerry Muse of Sacramento, California. Writes, hey guys, great show, but the conversation on April 27th had me wishing for the old days. Do any of you remember a pizza restaurant in Fort Wilderness, where Trails End is now, where they gave you the crust, sauce, and cheese, and you could go to each place and put whatever you want on your pizza? I think they charged you per topping, but not how much of the topping you put on the pizza. Our pizza would always be so high with one slice that it would fill you up. Really miss that place. Wish it was still there.
I don't remember it. Scopa?
No, I don't know how far back he's going. I think the first time I ever ate at Trails End was maybe 1989, 1990.
Did you say 19 or 18?
18. We killed a bar that day, and we had bar meat,
It was there actually hewing the logs with
We didn't even know what a pizza was then.
Exactly. Hadn't been imported to the United States yet.
They didn't have
Scopo
fire
was the
then.
first Italian. He invented
We thought
Italian.
pizza meant no war.
Next email is from Phil DeLucia of White Plains, New York.
Phil.
Writes, Dear Matt, Mike, and Len, this October 25th, 2007, which is a Thursday, my wife and I will be attending the Halloween party. I'd love to have dinner at Ohana's before the party, but I was told that it could get pretty crazy getting into the Magic Kingdom if you wait to enter at 7 p.m. Have you found that to be true? And if so, what time would you suggest to get to the park to avoid the crowd?
I don't think it's going to be on a Thursday. It's not, and when school in session, it's not going to be that bad.
Yeah, but you're pretty close to Halloween right there, October 25th. You don't think
On
it'll be a problem?
Thursday? Who's going to go during a school night?
I don't know, Len. So you're saying he'd be okay going at 7 p.m. in your opinion?
I mean, it's not going to be. I mean, it's going to be. It'll be more crowded than 6:30. But let's put it into perspective. It's not going to be like on a Friday night or a Saturday night when you'll have more locals. I think I don't know about Saturday. More locals going.
Well, I'll defer to Len, Mr. Crowd calendar.
I don't think so. But we'll. When are we going to be there?
We're going to be here the next night, Lynn.
The next night, yeah.
I was just so we can check it out.
That's when it's going to be crowded. Friday night, yeah.
Next email is from Gwen, who writes, hi there. We are going to the Disney World from December 1st to December 8th, 2007. We are a group of 11, 6 adults, 3 children, and 1 infant. Originally, we had planned on attending the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party.
Wait, a group of 11, 6 adults, 3 children, 1 infant?
Yep.
That's 10.
Well, that's what they told in the email, so maybe, I don't know. Maybe she didn't include herself. Anyway, we had planned on attending the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, but it's just too costly for us. Any ideas for something fun and special to do instead that is less costly? Do we qualify for grand gatherings?
You do, but it's a hassle. But do you have any good grand gatherings?
Oh, the only one I can think of is the breakfast at Tony's. I've heard good things about that. That's about the only thing I know.
In terms of special things to do, though, I mean, if you're not going to Mickey's Very Merry, I really like doing the Christmas around the world at Epcot, especially if it's
holidays.
Cold. You can get a hot adult beverage.
That's a great suggestion, Len. Just go around World Showcase instead. You can see every country has the Christmas stuff going on in the country.
Yeah. So get there like around 5. Grab a drink, get everyone situated, and then just start walking because it'll be dark there around 5:30 or so. So hopefully it's just a little bit of a chill in the air. By the time you get to the U.S. Pavilion, the singers and the American Garden Theater, it's fabulous.
It's Christmas time at World Showcase.
Anyway.
Ring-a-ling. Next question.
Next question is from
Hear them ring.
Evan, who writes, where can I find churros in Walt Disney World?
Oh,
they're in Adventureland.
yeah.
Is that the only place you can find them?
It's the only place I saw them when I was there in June. Mexico doesn't have them in the Mexico Pavilion in World Showcase.
Yeah, Frontierland, I think, is also over there. They have churros.
Is it Frontierland? Adventureland. So you mentioned that the place that I saw the people carrying them was between Pirates of the Caribbean and the that fry stand by Pecos Bills in Frontierland. So it could be either one, right?
Yeah, that should work. I mean, find it over there. Next email is from... Who is our next email from? It's from Kathy of Shelby Township, Michigan. I just listened to your show about the best time to take first trip to the world. You mentioned avoiding the week of Pop Warner. How much of a crowd does this add? I'm planning a trip for my mom and I in December 2007 at the Polynesian. We have a choice of either leaving there on December 1st or December 8th. Should I pick a later date to avoid a crowd? While this certainly isn't my first trip, I was looking forward to a relatively uncrowded park experience in early December.
So Pop Warner adds between 25 and 30,000 people in Walt Disney World for the championships. That being said, most of them are actually at Wide World of Sports participating in the Pop Warner activities, and relatively few of them are actually at the parks at any given time. And the reason why we know this is I actually called the Pop Warner media rep last year before the 2006 championships. And it turns out that the guy who's the media rep for Pop Warner is a former Disney World cast member who used to work at the Wilderness Lodge. So I got to ask him all kinds of questions about crowds and stuff like that. And he was very helpful and said, yeah, it really doesn't affect the parks that much. It does make it hard to get a hotel room, though.
That's when we were there last year for just before Mouse Fest, and I thought it was the least crowded I've seen in a long time. It didn't seem to really get crowded until like the day or two around Mouse Fest, at least for us.
Yeah, it's really, you're going to see the effect more at, like, if you're staying at an all-star resort, certainly.
Yeah. The Valley resorts are definitely going to be more crowded. Yeah, but at the Polynesian, you'll be fine.
Last email's from Stephen from Baton Rouge, who writes, "Hey guys, we've used the Disney dining plan and the concierge at the beach club on separate trips. My son will be 10 when we go. The other two will be 8, all boys. When we used the Disney dining in the past, we were able to take advantage of the old rules where the credits were not distinguished between adult and children.
Right.
While my kids are not picky eaters, they do sometimes want to order stuff off the adult menu. Anyway, do you see any advantage to not doing the dining plan but use the concierge lounge at the Polynesian? That way, we won't have to spend money on food that we actually eat. I know that we won't save money eating at the concierge lounge, but we can certainly snack so our lunches and dinners aren't so expensive."
Mr. Seifert?
We've never felt having the dining plan and being in the concierge was worth it. It's kind of and everyone we talk to says it's just too much food because they do serve quite a bit. We have our breakfasts there, and as much as they say dinner is kind of snacks or hors d'oeuvres, it's quite a bit of food and a variety of food that you've seen from the menu that I sent out recently. So having the dining plan and concierge, I think majority of people will say it's just too much. So you could probably do without the dining plan if you're going to stay concierge.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, definitely you can do breakfast there, and you can. The only thing about doing lunch or dinner is time in the hotel is time not spent in the parks.
Well, they won't really have anything for lunch. I mean, that's kind of, they have out the fresh baked cookies and drinks, so they can count on probably having lunch. They'll probably be in the park anyway, like you're saying. Don't spend it in the resort. But if they want to come back and grab something for dinner or even partial snacks, so that they don't have to do a full sit down dinner.
Right. So what time does the dinner buffet get started at the Polynesian?
Let me check. I think it's like 5 o'clock.
5 would be great.
Let me see here.
Mike Scopa, while he's looking that up, you have an update on the churro question?
I have an update on the churros. Breaking news. Churros are now offered at the Cantina de San Angel in Mexico. They go for $2.15.
Yeah, excellent. So Mexico. Good.
Nice.
Yeah, so the evening service starts from 5 to 7, and that's kind of when they offer the hot items. There's usually 4 or 5 different hot items and some salads and fruits and things like that.
And I really think it is the best concierge in the Animal Kingdom Lodge in Walt Disney World.
So 5 food. Yeah, Animal Kingdom Lodge definitely is pretty comparable too.
Yeah, so you could do your afternoon break, go for a dip in the pool, grab something from the concierge at 5 o'clock, be back at the park by 6.
That works.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, in fact, you know what? Showing up to the evening concierge service early is the best way to go about it. Kind of when you're in the middle is when it gets a little bit more crowded,
right?
Or at the tail end, sometimes is actually the best time. So beginning and end of that 5 to 7 is the best time to hit it.
Great.
So we're going to be there next week. Let's try that.
Sounds good.
Cool. See you then.
This episode of Walt Disney World Today has been sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, who are authorized Disney vacation planners specializing in cruises and packages to Disney and other vacation destinations around the world. They provide their signature services with no agency fee, so get a no-obligation quote by going to www.mousefantravel.com. And that's it for us today. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at www.wdwtoday.com. You can also email us at questions@wdwtoday.com, or Lantessa, Mike Scilpa, Mike Newell, and Steve Seifert. I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Here's the latest in the dispute between Internet radio and the music industry over new royalty rates. The crippling new rates were due to go into effect July 15th. Sound Exchange, the royalty collection agency, is encouraging small webcasters to keep operating while deliberations continue. Basically, we're on hold. The final outcome is yet to be decided. Have a say in the matter. Contact your congresspeople through SaveNetRadio.org. Urge them to support the Internet Radio Equality Act.